Good morning. It is good to see all of you online today. I'm Jo Celine. I'm the OUUC Media Specialist. We are leading worship from several locations today. As the service moves back and forth between us, you will be able to see whoever is speaking if you put your screen on speaker view rather than gallery view. And you can see us singing together if you go back to gallery view. We will also be using the chat box throughout the service to post song lyrics and share from the heart. You can turn the chat off and on by clicking the chat icon, so you might want to find that now. We can expect some tech glitches as we continue to do all we can to optimize our connections. One suggestion is, if you are having trouble with your reception, you might try turning off your video to see if that helps. We appreciate the grace as we all remember it's about connection, not perfection. Last, I hope you will find a candle or a chalice, and in a moment we can light them together. Thank you for your grace and adaptability as we all learn together.
Good morning. Let's sing together hymn number 108 out of the Gray Hymn Book, My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
Good morning. Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist Congregation online worship service. The OUUC community comes together in the mutual promises and possibilities of our covenant. We commit to live out our mission to be a liberal religious community that opens minds, fills hearts, and transforms lives. We are so glad that you are here today. My name is Curtis Tanner. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a member of the worship arts team. Leading worship with me today is Sarah Lewis, our Director of Community and Faith Development, Troy Fisher, our Music Director, and our Minister, the Reverend Mary Gear. We give thanks to the tech team and the OUUC Media Specialist, Joe Salin, for providing technical support today. And thanks to Darlene Sarkala, our Administrator, for keeping us informed and connected. And we are grateful for the many hands that make worship happen this morning. We are grateful to each of you. We welcome you, each of you, to this celebration of love and wonder to this congregation. After the service, we invite you to stay online for a virtual coffee hour. This is a chance to gather with a small group to say hello and check in. Each breakout room will be hosted by someone to help make sure everyone knows each other's name and has a chance to share. We hope you'll stay. I want to draw your attention to the order of service, which includes announcements available on our website. Our new talk show, After Church with Melanie Ransom, will start just after the breakout sessions. For about 20 minutes, Melanie will interview one of our members about their life story. If you'd like to see this, just return to the main session after the breakout rooms. Our weekly Thursday evenings of spiritual practice continue this week at 7 p.m. with a reflection on the December spiritual theme of stillness. The login information is on the OUUC website. Next Sunday, plan to stay after the coffee chat for a Q&A with the OUUC Board of Trustees regarding the proposed 2021 congregational budget. The budget will be posted on the OUUC website for review by December 5th. This is in preparation for our congregational meeting on Saturday, December 12th at 11:30 a.m. to consider the budget and bylaw revisions. Check out the OUC weekly update for more information. There are many opportunities to stay connected to our community because social distancing doesn't mean social isolation. Please check the website regularly. If you have questions or need help, please check in with a staff member. Now, let us open our hearts and our minds as we prepare for worship. Welcome, everyone. It is good to be together.
This morning and every Sunday morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition. Please join me as we light our chalices together with these words by Tracy Bleakney, Traducción en Español por Teresa Soto.
A child journeys far from home.
Un niño viaja lejos de su casa.
Fearful and brave, in need of safe harbor.
Temeroso y valiente, careciendo de un puerto de asilo.
Guided by this chalice.
Guiados por este cáliz.
May we seek to understand the causes of flight.
Tratemos de comprender las causas de huir.
Like the comfort of the candle flickering in a window of darkness.
Como el consuelo de una vela encendida en una ventana oscura.
Let us welcome this child into our home with warmth, nourishment, and love.
Demos bienvenida a este niño, a nuestra casa con simpatía, alimento y cariño.
Would we not want the same for our own child, lost and alone in a strange land?
¿No quisiéramos lo mismo por nuestro propio niño, perdido y solo en tierra extranjera?
We are entering the time of year where the earth grows colder, the animals hibernate, and the days become continually shorter. This morning marks the beginning of the season of Advent. In the Christian tradition, Advent is the beginning of the church year, looking forward to the birth of Jesus and the celebration of spiritual light. Many faith traditions use fire, candles, and light as a part of their celebrations this time of year. Unitarian Universalism is a faith with roots in Christianity. Today, some UUs identify as Christians and others don't. Yet during the season of Advent, we all have something we can find illuminating, comforting, challenging, or fulfilling by reinterpreting old traditions. This year during Advent, we'll light candles in a wreath, one for each Sunday leading up to Christmas, plus one more in the center on Christmas Eve. In the churches of our neighbors all over the world, Advent candles might be purple and pink, or red and green, or blue and white, or other colors. They might represent symbols such as light, or virtues such as purity, patience, or faith. We'll light these Advent candles, one each week, to remember hope, peace, joy, and love. As we light them throughout the season of waiting, let us remember to be fully present in the moment with each other, with ourselves, and with the source of blessing as we understand it to be. Today, we light this first candle for hope. Let me grab the matches.
And always have a backup plan.
Always plan B. And there is our candle for hope. May we dare to open the shadowy, oh my.
May we dare to open the shadowy places to the healing light of community. With the creative power of hope, we express our longing for peace and prepare our hearts to be transformed.
Thank you, Curtis. I am learning how to be in a new home.
Our opening words will be an I am from poem. And you'll hear more about these poems later in the homily. But now here is our I am from poem from Reverend Mary and me.
I am from rocking chairs.
I am from Grandma's braided rugs.
I am from a cozy room to myself and a basement to play in and shelter during tornadoes.
I am from rentals we couldn't afford to heat and fixer-uppers Dad was always working on.
I am from beech trees with tasty nuts and sand dunes warm between my toes.
I am from blackberries alongside the freeway, whose sweetness came with a bite.
I am from Bernice and Catherine, John and Harvey, Lily and Lloyd, Joseph and Marie, crossing guard, hairdresser, foreman, security guard, firefighter, shopkeeper, homemaker, knitter, shop clerk, mechanic.
I am from Great Uncle Bob, Gwyn and Doug, from Patricia and Dale, Gloria and James, and kind neighbor, Mrs. Lee. From engineers, homemakers, seamstresses, hairdressers, doctor, minister, cellist, and traveling salesman.
I am from sharing food and games, working hard, being outside even in the dark.
I am from do it yourself, get involved, and from anger and anxiety.
I am from Christmas Eve midnight services by candlelight and singing.
I am from tarot card and numerology readings.
I am from Swedish potato sausage, handmade with Grandpa's stuffer, roast beef with carrots and potatoes, pasta and sauce.
I am from sauerkraut and Mom's first gluten-free rubber biscuits.
I am from divorced at 27 with a baby, breast cancer, widowed at 53, first to go to college.
I am from mail order brides from Germany and folks escaping starvation in the potato famine.
I am from swimming in Silver Lake with seaweed and fishes.
I am from station wagons with kids loose in the back, no seatbelts.
I am from so many ancestors.
I am from so many ancestors.
Let's sing together our opening song, We Are, hymn number 1051. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great vision. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
Hi, friends. In today's story, I want to introduce you to 4 people who live in very different parts of the world, but who are all working for fairness, respect, and justice. Even though we don't have a chance to meet them in person, I want you to imagine they are coming over for dinner with you and your family. Think of them as a dinner guest, telling you an interesting story over a big plate of your favorite food. All over the country, other kids like you are imagining the same dinner party and learning about the same people as part of a program called Guest at Your Table. The program is a chance to learn about 4 courageous people making a difference in their communities. This year, the 4 people we are going to meet are Adela, Mark, Chief Sherelle, and Suja. First, I want to introduce you to Adela, who lives in Guatemala. Over the past several years, the area Adela lives in has had a lot of people migrate or leave to go to another country. Many people are having to leave because there aren't enough jobs or enough food. Unfortunately, not having enough food to survive is not considered a good enough reason for someone to be welcomed into the United States, and many people are turned away and forced to return to Guatemala. Adela works to support people in the country so that the conditions are better and more fair. She also supports people who've been forced to return after migrating, who face the difficulty of returning to their homes after being away for many months or even years. Adela especially helps kids and teenagers who are returning to Guatemala. Next, I want to tell you about Mark, a scientist in the Marshall Islands. The Marshall Islands are a small chain of islands in the Pacific Ocean that are experiencing environmental damages, making it more and more difficult to live there. Because of climate change or human-made damages to the environment, the sea is at a higher level than it used to be, and flooding is becoming worse and worse. In his work, Mark teams up with members of his community in the Marshall Islands to collect information about the flooding and safe drinking water. This information is used to help build protections so that people do not have to leave their homes, and also help community members determine when flooding might become bad enough that they do have to move to a higher location or to a different country entirely. Some of these choices are hard to make, but it helps when people have all the information they need to be able to make the best decision they can for themselves. The third person I want to share with you about is Chief Sherrill, the leader of an Indian tribe in southern Louisiana, which can trace its ancestors back to the very first people we know of that lived in the area. Like Mark, Chief Sherrill is facing damages to her home from climate change and other human-caused activity. Being along the Louisiana coast, Chief Sherrill's community is losing land to the water, and the increase in salt water is also damaging trees and the land they use for hunting and farming. In the face of these challenges, Chief Sherrill is fighting for her people and lands. She works together with others to tell people what is happening to her community and advocate for support so they can build the protections they need to protect the land. Lastly, I want to introduce you to Suja, who's from Burma, which is also known as Myanmar. This is a country in Southeast Asia that borders China, Thailand, and India. Burma has a huge diversity of ethnic groups, people who practice similar traditions to each other. But the groups that have smaller populations face a lot of discrimination, which is limitations on their freedom and even danger. For example, Suja practices a different religion than the majority of people in the country, and because of this, he was prevented from completing school in Burma. When he protested and asked for a chance to continue with school, he was arrested and held in jail for more than a week. He was only a teenager when this happened. After he was let out of jail, he was afraid for his life and left the country. It was difficult to find services and build a new life elsewhere, but when he eventually did, he worked with others to create an organization supporting other refugees going through similar struggles. Together, they're creating a community that helps each other, even though they're far away from home. I hope these stories were a chance to learn about the challenges this year's 4 guests are facing and how they're fighting back for what is fair and what is right. Through Guest at Your Table, your congregation and other congregations around the country are helping to provide these guests with the resources to do their work. Together, we can make a better and fairer world. Thank you.
And thank you to the UU Service Committee for our story today. During our new member welcome earlier this month, we lost 2 of our members to power outages in 2 different states. And so today we are grateful to welcome again new members, Sarah Bear and Zosh Rabinowitz. Sarah and Zosh, we take time to celebrate your commitment to membership in the Olympia Unitarian Universalist congregation. We recognize this commitment in a worship service as we hold up that which is of worth, sharing our voices in song, sharing words in silence, sharing our joys and sorrows, and sharing our work for justice, sharing ministry. Joining OUUC means being part of this gathered community, speaking out on the future of our congregation, offering and receiving gifts of the Spirit, supporting others, and being supported in return. Zosh and Sarah, if you will join us in this mission and work, would you please unmute yourself and say, I will.
I will.
I will.
We welcome you as new members of our community this morning. You have come to worship, play, work, and grow among us. Ours is a free fellowship. We have no creeds, and you are free to bring your ideas and beliefs to this congregation to share with others. I invite you to join with us in the religious search for meaning and purpose in life, informed by our individual beliefs and the traditions of Unitarian Universalism.
Will the members of the congregation please join me in saying the words printed in your order of service and also in the Zoom chat? We receive you with open hands and hearts. As you join us, we once again renew our own commitment to this religious community and to our shared vision, to be a liberal religious community that opens minds, fills hearts, and transforms lives. We are proud and happy to have you among us. Welcome.
We come together in covenant, making mutual promises to be generous, responsive, engaged, responsible, direct, honest, and loving. We are called to this covenant and by each other to be willing to transform ourselves into the community that we desire to be. Thank you for creating community for this journey together. Welcome, Zosh and Sarah. We came together in community this morning, bringing all that is in our lives. In this space, we draw on the strength of our community to hold all that we bring here with us. If you would like to send in something to share, please look for the link on the online worship page on the OUUC website, and we'll bring it into the service next week. In this space, we share from our hearts what brings us joy and sorrow, and what brings us worry and delight and makes us anxious and makes us dance. Let's open our hearts to the complexity of life, ours and others. And in this time of political and other divisions, please recognize that we hold different opinions, and be attentive to sharing in a way that bridges the divides between us rather than increasing them. You will hear a drum beat as we share today. It brings into our awareness that our individual hearts beat, and together we create the heartbeat of this community. right now, I invite us to take a deep breath together. And let's open our hearts to receive all that is in our lives and community today. Let's wish a very happy birthday to Chloe Trujillo, who turns 11 today. Chloe, I hope you have a fabulous day. Happy birthday. And I invite you now to share from your heart by entering in the chat on your screen. This is a time to share all that you wish, joys and sorrows and whatever else is shared from your heart. And as we take in what is posted, let us hear the heartbeat of our community and reach out our hearts in love and care to all those who share. I place a stone in the water for all that has been shared from the heart. The stone holding the complexity of our lives, held in the water of community. And we'll place one more stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken. I invite you now into a time of reflection, prayer, and meditation. This prayer is offered by Sydney K. Wilde. Spirit of life and love, your prophet Isaiah called us to worship you by freeing the oppressed, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, and housing the homeless. Your follower, St. Francis, cried out, "Make me an instrument of thy peace." Jesus instructed us to love our neighbors and our enemies as ourselves. Remind me again, dear God, that ours are the hands that must do your work. We are the ones who must comfort the sick and lift up the poor. We are the ones who must challenge traditions to bring about justice. Strengthen our resolve, we pray, to live out our faith as doers of good works. Fill us with the Spirit, which will give us both courage and strength to move out into the world and there to make a difference. By our efforts, may your will be done. Amen. Let us hold a moment of silence together.
27, when the poor ones. When the poor ones who have nothing still are giving, when the thirsty pass the cup, water to share, when the wounded offer others strength for healing, we see God here by our side, walking our way. We see God here by our side, walking our way. When compassion gives us suffering consolation, when expecting brings to birth hope that was lost, when we choose love, not the hatred all around us, we see God here by our side, walking our way. We see God here by our side, walking our way. When our spirits, like a chalice, brim with gladness, when our voices, full and clear, sing out for the truth, when our longings, free from envy, seek the humble, we see God here by our side, walking our way. We see God here by our side, walking our way. When the goodness poured from heaven fills our dwellings, when the nations work to change war into peace, when the stranger is accepted as our neighbor, we see God here by our side, walking our way. We see God here by our side, walking our way.
Our prayers and meditations deepen our gratitude for that which we know is sacred in our lives and in this world. Each Sunday, we express our gratitude by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves, living our principles. The offering collected here today will be used in its entirety to support the Ministers' Benevolence Fund. With this fund, the ministers here at OUUC are able to help those who request it, people connected to the congregation, and others who ask for our help. These past few months, Reverend Mary has used these funds to help pay someone's rent, to help someone get their car fixed, to help cover utilities and new boots, and to help several families with move-in costs. In these times, we know that there will be many more in our community that will need our help. Together, we can do so much more than any one of us alone. Reverend Mary has shared that there has been much need for the Benevolence Fund and the balance is low. It will be good for us to help her to be able to help others. Thank you for your generosity. Please note that you can participate in the offering by making a donation online through the church website or by texting the number that will appear on your screen in just a moment. You can also mail a check to OUUC. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
Thank you for your generous gifts. In place of a reading, we're now going to create a composite "We Are From" poem. We'll do this by inviting you to enter things in the chat. For our first item, if you are so moved to share, please type in a specific item from your childhood. For our second, an object or a product from your past. For our third line, a phrase describing your childhood home. And for the fourth, a plant or natural object from your past. For the fifth line, a description or a personification of an object from your past. And then family names or ancestors. And family traits or habits. A religious memory or a family tradition. Food from your family history. A specific event in the life of an ancestor. And finally, a childhood memory. Thank you all for sharing these wonderful things from your past.
Our second reading is We Refugees by Benjamin Zephaniah. I come from a musical place where they shoot me for my song, and my brother has been tortured by my brother in my land. I come from a beautiful place where they hate my shade of skin. They don't like the way I pray, and they ban free poetry. I come from a beautiful place where girls cannot go to school, where you are told what to believe, and even young boys must grow beards. I come from a great old forest. I think it is now a field, and the people I once knew are not there now. We can all be refugees. Nobody is safe. All it takes is a mad leader or no rain to bring forth food. We can all be refugees. We can all be told to go. We can be hated by someone for being someone. I come from a beautiful place where the valley floods each year, and each year the hurricane tells us that we must keep moving on. I come from an ancient place. All my family were born there, and I would like to go there, but I really want to live. I come from a sunny, sandy place where tourists go to darken skin and dealers like to sell guns there. I just can't tell you what's the price. I am told I have no country now. I am told I am a lie. I am told that modern history books may forget my name. We can all be refugees. Sometimes it only takes a day. Sometimes it only takes a handshake or a paper that is signed. We all came from refugees. Nobody simply just appeared. Nobody's here without a struggle. And why should we live in fear of the weather or the troubles? We all came here from somewhere. This ends our readings.
We are from so much. We are from a tree fort under the cedar tree, from the milk glass lamp my grandmother gave me. We are from fireflies, plastic bowls, a stuffed gray bear, and a faded, well-worn blanket. We are from mines in Alaska, rose gardens, and a red Schwinn bike. We are from fishing with Grandpa, jumping rope, and camping. We are from strawberries and maple trees, from first corn on the cob, from singing and sewing. We are from so many ancestors. Yes, we all come here from somewhere, as our reading by Benjamin Zephaniah reminded us. We all bring a glorious diversity of past memories, experiences, ancestors, and cultures with us as we arrive here in this virtual space together this morning. George Ella Lyons, a poet from Kentucky, wrote "Where I'm From" in 1993 in response to a line in a book. I want to know when you get to be from a place. In thinking about that question, she made a list-based poem. Where I'm from. I am from clothespins, from Clorox and carbon tetrachloride. I am from the dirt under the back porch, black, glistening, it tasted like beets. I am from the forsythia bush, the Dutch elm, whose long gone limbs I remember, as if they were my own. I'm from fudge and eyeglasses, from Imogene and Alifair. I'm from the know-it-alls and the pass-it-ons, from perk up and pipe down. I'm from He restoreth my soul with a cotton ball lamb and 10 verses I can say myself. I'm from Artemis and Billy's branch, fried corn and strong coffee, from the finger my grandfather lost to the auger, the eye my father shut to keep his sight. Under my bed was a dress box spilling old pictures, a sift of lost faces to drift beneath my dreams. I am from those moments, snapped before I budded, leaf fall from the family tree. This poem has often been used as a teaching model, and students have written their own version of an I am from poem in many a classroom. Some of you may have done it. Educator and activist Julie Landsman saw this as a counter voice to the rise of hate and xenophobia in recent years. And together, the poet and the educator created the I Am From Project, collecting hundreds of poems to show the beautiful diversity of our nation, and that it could be in celebrating our differences that we are brought together as a people. You can find many of the resulting poems on the website, iamfromproject.com. We all come from somewhere, and we also can all become refugees, as the reading warned. All it takes is a mad leader, a handshake, or a signed piece of paper. It's the paradox of home. Sometimes we are deeply rooted in home, and sometimes we are trapped there. Sometimes we are searching for a new home, and sometimes we simply want to live as free and nomadic as can be. This year has thrown many of us into our homes in ways we've never experienced before. The global pandemic came with stay-at-home orders, meant to stop the spread of the virus and keep us safe. And yet, what of the person without a home? How are the unsheltered supposed to stay safe? And what of the people for whom home is not safe? Those experiencing domestic violence, neglect, abuse, or other manifestations of a lack of security and safety. How can they be safe at home? Even for those relatively privileged in these regards, staying home has frayed nerves, strained loving relationships, and left us feeling anxious and exhausted. Even for those of us who can shelter in place, the global pandemic still illustrates that our homes are all connected, just as we are all connected as people. And our walls and fences only protect us up to a certain point. This is why I believe we can learn from this year's Guest at Your Table guests. From our guest, Suja, who fled the threat of imprisonment and being targeted for being a Rohingya, we can learn that sometimes you have to leave home to save your life. We can also learn about how to form and empower community ties and rebuild community even when home and roots have been lost. Where in our community do people need help and empowerment? Who has had to leave or lost their homes? What community building would give people, including us, a greater sense of belonging? From our guest, Chief Sherrill, whose tribe of Indigenous people is not federally recognized and has not received any reparation for land seized and environmental impacts felt, we can learn about the grit and determination to keep trying to be self-sufficient and resilient. We can learn how existence itself can be resistance. Who is forgotten or unacknowledged in our community? Who has been persisting and surviving against steep odds? What do they have to teach us about survival? What are they owed, and how can we ensure justice is received? From our guest, Mark Stahey, Indigenous climate scientist from the Marshall Islands, we can learn the importance of self-determination for people facing the loss of home. In our community, who are the people that are not at the decision-making table? Whose voices are missing when we make plans? What perspectives are we missing out on because the decision makers have not been able to hear everyone? And finally, our fourth guest, Adela, teaches us that migrating can be an act of love. When people seek something better for their families, they do so because of the love they have, despite the dangers and sacrifices that will be involved. What acts of love brought you to where you are today? Were there ancestors in your family or people in your childhood who faced sacrifice or even danger to get you to a better place in life? How can we help those people who are currently making that same voyage? How can we turn around and be good ancestors for others? These are just some of the lessons of home that we can learn from our guests. I hope you will explore more of their stories, which we have posted on the Guest at Your Table Padlet, and that you will support them and all the other UUSC partners by making a donation to the Guest at Your Table program. We will be collecting boxes and donations at the drive-thru on December 13th. Between now and then, we will share our homes with these guests and all the many other virtual guests that may be welcomed into our hearts and homes whenever we reach out and do anything to help another. I'll close with this excerpt from The Meaning of Home, a sermon by Reverend Laura Randall. Nobody just simply appeared. We all came here from somewhere. This earth is our home. Some of us live on the same patch of land our ancestors have called home for millennia. Others of us have called this land home for a few generations, if that. Some of us long for a distant home we remember from our youth, and others have always lived in the town we call home. Regardless of the miles between us, this earth is our home. The distress of our planet and the turmoil of our societies, these are the circumstances we find ourselves in, regardless of what we wish were true instead. Our relationships to our homes have dramatically intensified this year. Do we have the courage to turn that intensity into compassion? Can we feel, not just know, but feel the primacy of the value that everyone, everywhere has the right to self-determination and safety in their homes? Some essential part of everyone longs for a sense of peace, a sense of belonging, a sense of rightness that can be described in no way other than home. At UUSC, we will continue to honor that longing and fight for the right of all people to claim, create, and be home. That's right. Everyone everywhere has the right to self-determination and safety in their homes. Regardless of the miles between us, this earth is our home. Do we have the courage to turn the intensity of this experience of stay at home into deep compassion? May it be so. I invite you now into a time of silence together. Blessings to all. Amen.
Let's sing together our closing hymn, hymn number 1053, Libby Roderick's How Could Anyone? How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
We extinguish our chalices with these words by Amy Zucker Morgenstern. When we take fire from our chalice, it does not become less, it becomes more. And so we extinguish our chalice, but we take its light and warmth with us, multiplying their power by all of our lives and sharing it with the world.
Please join me in singing our unison benediction. How bountiful the blessings that surround us. We come together grateful to be
Please stay online if you'd like to join in